25 to 30 years of age is essentially the times when you start struggling with some of the most difficult problems in your life. Some of them could be actually establishing yourself in the job market, finding good jobs, getting good salaries, and so on. Second comes when you start being forced by everybody around you that you have to get married, that the age is coming and you have to figure out a way to find a partner for yourself, because if you don't find a partner for yourself, your life is going to be screwed. And anyways, you as a person can never be happy alone. So definitely find somebody who can keep you happy. That's what the society says, at least. Also, the third and the very important one comes from many parents, and like I've said previously, like when Indians get so triggered hearing that I'm saying something about parents, they forget that there are not always good parents around. There are sometimes good parents, sometimes bad parents. Some good parents have some bad things, some bad parents have some good things. It's never a black and white scenario, it's always a gray spectrum. So many times you also have this kind of like emotional harassment from the parents that, alright, you're getting so much older, now we want some kind of grandkids, and how are you going to take care of us in the older age if you decide to move away somewhere, and so on.
कि बेटा जब बड़ा होगा तो अच्छे से शादी करेंगे और हम लोग ग्रैंड पेरेंट्स के सुख मिलेगा हमें.
And the reason I'm making this video right now is because recently I'm just receiving a lot of emails and messages like that. Maybe it's just the way things are proceeding. Maybe the times when people started watching my YouTube videos, they were almost my same age when I started, and I fall in this bracket. But for me, things are different because I already took care of all of these things in the very starting. I got married, we've been married for almost 6 years now, and we are pretty happy. We have achieved a lot. We don't have any kind of struggles like these. But I know so many other students and professionals who are stuck in their jobs right now, who still struggle with this feeling every single day. And it's really not a good feeling. Now, let me break it down for you. What are the major problems right now for the youth who is in India and they're just trying to make a sense of their life? The very first thing which happens in this age group is everybody forcing you into marriage. And now at this point, many women can think that, okay, like this is a very woman-centric problem to think about, but that's not true at all. Men actually also face a lot of these problems that many people are not aware of. And also, if you take a look at, I think Alina and I, we were watching this documentary yesterday about the misuse of the 498A Act, which is the act of dowry and stuff, where almost only 3% of the cases are genuine and other 97% of the cases are just misuse of that law. So men are even more scared now in India to get married to somebody they have absolutely no idea about, whom they absolutely don't know.
You'll be accused, there will be FIR filed on you, there'll be a criminal case filed on you. No matter how many evidences you have, you'll have to suffer for 4-5 years, and only then your side will come to a hearing in the court. Until by then you will be arrested, your entire family would be arrested, old parents would be arrested as well. And the woman has real upper hand in these cases.
And where exactly do you come across these kind of partners? Of course, in arranged marriages. Maybe in previous times, these things used to work great because, I don't know, like whatever. Right now, I definitely know that the capacity of people to resolve problems, to see the other person's perspective and kind of trying to find a solution is much, much lower than we ever had in the history of mankind. So in these kind of scenarios, you see over and over again, year over year, the misuse cases have been increasing, and the incentive of actually marrying somebody whom you absolutely don't know, it's actually very, very less. I understand that many people think of marriage as a woman-only problem, but to the women who are watching this video, I want to tell you that this is also a big problem that also men face. Now, what can be done in this kind of scenario? I mean, first of all, what I really believe is that this century-old belief that if you are getting married via arranged marriages, they're going to run better and longer than love marriages, I think it's a bit of a nonsense. Because when you're coming as two individuals together and you don't love each other, you don't have any kind of feelings for each other, but you don't have a choice because your families decided for you to stay together. So of course you develop some kind of feelings, you care for each other and so on, if things go well. If things don't go well, you don't want to spend the night with a partner that you didn't choose in the bed every single night. And this is not a great feeling for either the man or the woman. So first of all, this entire story of like, forcing their sons and daughters into arranged marriages, I don't know, maybe this used to work previously, but I really don't believe that this is a good way forward. And the constant mental harassment of get married, get children so that you can establish yourself, so that you can start a family and so on. If you don't want that, you shouldn't be forced into that at all.
शादी के 6 साल हो गए और मैं क्या बोलूँ, मैं बयान नहीं कर सकता। हम सच में हमको लगता है कि हम सब कुछ होते हुए कुछ नहीं, मेरे पास कुछ नहीं है। हमारे घर से सब बच्चे गुजरते हैं ना, हमने जब घर बनाया है, बच्चे गुजरते हैं, देख के अंदर से जो हुक होता है ना।
And many parents don't understand that at all. And this is the place where the sons and daughters actually start feeling bad, because they feel like parents know it better because they've always known it better. But you will start realizing at the age of your early 20s and mid 20s that your parents always don't know better than you do. They had their beliefs, they saw the things which were working for them at that time, and that is pretty much their thought is going to be the truism of the world. It isn't that anymore. And this is the problem of many people who are actually now working in different kind of jobs, are working as professionals, have already been working for a few years. And when they start realizing that, okay, like this is not really a place where I'm growing any further. This is not really a place where I'll be earning more, where I will be spending more time with my family, where just the act of going out of the house in India to your office is such a struggle that you don't know like which person on the road or like what car, what bicycle or whatever, like, just like gets run over or runs the other person down. So these kind of things are actually something which lowers the quality of life for many people who are going through their daily life. And all of this just brings in the strong feeling of being trapped in a place and not being able to move at all. Because with this comes the third and the last problem, and that is, if I move abroad, how do I take care of my parents? Because in Indian societies, essentially somehow parents give birth to children so that they can work for them when they grow older, or they can take care of them when they get older. And this is something which is completely different in the Western societies, as far as I've seen. Parents give birth to children because they want to have children, not because they have ulterior motives that I'm going to have children so that he is going to feed me when I'm older. That's not how I've seen things here. So this is also the one place where I personally think like things are a little bit problematic and things have to be changed. You were brought into this world so that you can live your own life, and that's the most important thing. If you feel trapped in a place, you have to slowly start finding ways you can improve that. And the best way of doing that is spending some kind of time aside every single day where you can work on something which moves you out of that place. Changing surrounding is always something that you start by changing yourself. You have to figure out a way to go to an entirely different place by upskilling yourself, by adding more value, by finding more people, by getting into networks and so on, so that you can leave the kind of misery you have right now behind you. I was recently having a conversation with my friend who was like, we have everything here, we have our house here, we have our property here, we have the people whom we know in this country, and how am I supposed to move from this place? And this is the same person who complains to me every single day about almost everything about his life. And not because he's bitching or moaning, but just because he's genuinely not happy the way his life is right now. He doesn't like the work, he doesn't like to go on the streets, traveling from one place to the other, just always looking over your shoulder, making sure that you don't get hit by somebody and so on. And this is just not the way this person wants to live. So I just really want to take a look at this from the outside. I want to give you an outside perspective, because sometimes people take their situations way too seriously to get so paralyzed that they cannot even move to take any kind of action whatsoever. If you're in a situation like this, you really have to figure out a way to maybe change your surrounding for a while and see if that works for you. Because The only thing that you know for sure is if you continue living the way you're living right now, if you don't see any kind of improvement, if you don't see things getting to the positive, then there's no point in being unhappy, doing the same thing over and over again. And especially in your youth, when you're young, when you have the power and the strength to change things, because you will never be able to do this when you get older and older. It will always be the feeling, alright, if I would have done it at that time, my life would have been so much different. The reason why I just promote so many people to just come to Europe and start a different life is because of this freedom of not listening to anybody else. To not have this constant mental pressure, mental harassment to do this, to do that. There's absolutely nobody telling you anything. To have more time for yourself, to have the Saturday, Sunday off, and to have limited work hours from Monday to Friday, and do exactly what you want to do. If you want to take weekend trips somewhere, you do that. If you want to meet some people, you do that. If you want to have some hobbies, you do that. If you want to go on the street with the feeling of safety that nobody is going to run you over, or the chances are pretty less, you do that. But all of these things are very difficult to attain in India, even with a lot of money. My friends sometimes say alright, you have so much money now, why don't you come back to India and live like a king? And I'm like, what's the point? What's the point when you will be living the exact same quality of life that anybody else is having, when you would be having the same kind of problems with the public authorities, with the municipality, with the courts, with the police, with the hospitals and so on that everybody else is having? How does it make sense? Why shouldn't you have some kind of peace for yourself? I think all of this is simply about being able to live the life the way you want it and not have any kind of pressure from the parents, from the relatives, from the society to do things that you absolutely don't want to do. So start thinking about it and don't just autopilot this to the end of your life, because the regrets are going to be massive.